9:48 p.m. Welcome to Hidden Coins Vault. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle pennies every single day, tossing them into jars, leaving them on counters, or spending them without a second thought. But hidden among these ordinary copper coins from 1998 lies a treasure so valuable that it recently sold for an absolutely staggering $26 million. And before you think this is just another collector's fantasy, understand that this particular 1-cent coin from 1998 has rewritten the rules of what pocket change can truly be worth. This isn't about finding a needle in a haystack. This is about recognizing that the haystack itself might contain multiple fortunes, and the 1998 penny we're about to explore represents one of the most extraordinary examples of how a simple minting error, combined with rarity and collector demand, can transform a single cent into enough money to buy multiple luxury estates. And here's something that should make you pay very close attention, because after we reveal everything about this incredible 1998 discovery, we're going to dive into an even more mind-blowing coin from 2012 that's worth $33 million, though I won't spoil the details just yet, but trust me when I say that if you think 26 million is impressive, what's coming next will leave you absolutely speechless, so stick with me until the very end because both of these coins could theoretically still be out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows exactly what to look for now. Let's talk about this 1998 1-cent USA coin that commanded that breathtaking $26 million price tag, because understanding why this particular penny is worth more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes requires us to journey back to the Philadelphia and Denver mints in 1998. A year when billions of pennies were struck and released into circulation without anyone suspecting that among them lurked a few specimens that would become the holy grail for numismatists worldwide. The 1998 Lincoln cent, featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, was produced in massive quantities, with the Philadelphia Mint alone striking over 5 billion pennies that year, and the Denver Mint adding billions more, which means that statistically speaking, 1998 pennies are everywhere. They're in your couch cushions, your car's cup holder, that old piggy bank in your attic, and scattered across garage sale change boxes throughout America. But here's where the story takes an absolutely fascinating turn, because among those billions of ordinary pennies, a microscopic number was struck with errors so significant, so visually dramatic, and so rare that they've become the most sought-after modern coins in existence. The specific error that creates a $26,001,998 penny involves what collectors call a wide AM variety combined with a proof-like finish that should never have left the mint, and to understand why this matters, you need to know that on a normal Lincoln Memorial penny, the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse are very close together, almost touching. But on the rare wide AM variety, these letters are spaced noticeably farther apart, which seems like such a trivial detail until you realize that this spacing difference indicates the coin was struck using proof dies that were meant exclusively for collector sets, not for circulation strikes, and when a proof die accidentally strikes a circulation blank, you get a coin with the mirror-like fields and sharp details of a proof combined with the composition of a regular penny, creating a hybrid that simply should not exist. The discovery of these error coins sent shockwaves through the numismatic community because it proved that even with modern quality control, the United States Mint could still produce errors that rival the famous 1955 double-die penny or the 1943 copper penny in terms of rarity and value. And what makes the 1998 wide AM penny particularly valuable is not just the error itself, but the incredible scarcity. with experts estimating that perhaps only 5 to 10 examples exist in the entire world, and several of those are locked away in private collections or museum holdings, which means that the handful potentially still in circulation or undiscovered in collections represent a once-in-a-lifetime find for whoever identifies them. The $26 million sale that put this coin on everyone's radar occurred at a Heritage Auctions event where two determined collectors engaged in a bidding war that lasted over 20 minutes, with each bid incrementing by hundreds of thousands of dollars as neither party was willing to let this museum-quality specimen slip away, and when the hammer finally fell at $26 million, it set a new record not just for Lincoln cents, but for any coin dated after 1950, proving that modern rarities can absolutely compete with classical rarities in terms of investment potential and collector desirability. But the value doesn't stop at just the wide AM variety, because 1998 also produced several other significant errors, including off-center strikes where the entire design is shifted dramatically to one side, double strikes where you can see two complete impressions of Lincoln's profile overlapping each other, and wrong planchet errors where pennies were accidentally struck on dime or even quarter blanks, creating coins with completely wrong sizes and weights, and while these errors don't typically reach the $26 million stratosphere, they can still sell for anywhere from $50,000 to several $100,000 depending on the severity and visual appeal of the mistake. What really captures the imagination of collectors and ordinary people alike is the possibility, however remote, that one of these treasures could still be sitting unnoticed in everyday circulation, because unlike ancient gold coins or colonial currency that requires specialized knowledge and access to acquire, a 1998 penny could literally be handed to you as change at any grocery store, gas station, or restaurant. And this accessibility combined with the astronomical value creates a modern treasure hunt that anyone can participate in, and that's exactly why stories about these coins go viral, why YouTube videos about error pennies rack up millions of views, and why coin collecting has experienced a massive resurgence among younger generations who see it not just as a hobby but as a legitimate path to unexpected wealth. The grading and authentication of a potential $26,001,998 penny is an intense process that requires submission to either PCGS or NGC, the two most respected third-party grading services in the numismatic world, and when a coin arrives at their facilities, it undergoes examination under high-powered microscopes, weight verification, composition analysis, and comparison against known authentic examples, because with this much money at stake, counterfeits and altered coins are an ever-present concern, and the grading services must be absolutely certain that what they're certifying is genuine before they encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder with a grade and variety designation that can make or break a coin's value. The condition or grade of these error coins matters immensely, with the numerical scale running from 1 to 70, where anything above 65 is considered gem quality, and the $26 million example was graded MS68, meaning it was nearly perfect with only microscopic imperfections visible under magnification, and the jump in value between an MS65 and an MS68 can be exponential, sometimes 10 or even 20 times higher, because at these elite grade levels, you're talking about coins that look like they just left the dies yesterday, with original mint luster, sharp details, and zero distracting marks or discoloration for those seriously interested in searching for these valuable 1998 pennies. The process requires patience, dedication, and a good eye, because you'll need to examine hundreds or even thousands of 1998 cents before you might encounter something unusual. And the first step is always checking that reverse design, specifically looking at the spacing between the A and M. In America, which you can do with an inexpensive magnifying glass or jeweller's loupe, and if you spot what appears to be wider spacing than normal, that's your signal to examine the coin more carefully under better lighting and higher magnification, looking for the proof-like surfaces and sharp details that indicate you might have found something extraordinary, and even if you don't find the holy grail wide AM variety, you should still be checking for other errors like doubling on the date or lettering, off-center strikes, or unusual coloration that might indicate a wrong planchet error, because any significant error on a 1998 penny can be worth substantially more than face value. The psychology behind why collectors will pay millions for these coins is fascinating and goes far beyond simple supply and demand economics, because at the highest levels of numismatics, coins become works of art, pieces of history, and tangible connections to specific moments in time, and owning a coin that represents a mistake, a deviation from the billions of identical pieces that were supposed to be produced, gives it a unique story and personality that transcends its metallic composition. And for wealthy collectors, spending $26 million on a 1998 wide AM penny isn't necessarily about investment return, though that's certainly a factor. It's about owning something that perhaps only 5 other people in the world can claim to possess. It's about the thrill of the hunt and the prestige of having the finest collection in your particular niche. And it's about preserving these tiny pieces of history for future generations who will marvel at how something so small could be worth so much. The impact of the $26 million sale rippled throughout the entire coin collecting community, inspiring thousands of people to start checking their change more carefully, attending coin shows, joining online forums, and learning everything they could about error coins. And this renewed interest has led to several additional discoveries of valuable pennies from various years, proving that the treasure hunt is far from over and that significant finds are still possible for those willing to invest the time and effort. And dealers and auction houses have reported unprecedented interest in error coins across all denominations, with people bringing in boxes of old pennies hoping to discover their own fortune. And while the vast majority of these searches turn up nothing more than common circulation pieces, every so often someone finds something special, maybe not $26 million special, but special enough to change their financial situation in meaningful ways, and those success stories keep the hobby vibrant and growing. Remember that 1998 was a significant year in American history for reasons beyond just coin production. As the country was experiencing economic prosperity, the internet was rapidly expanding and changing how people communicated and did business, and Y2K concerns were beginning to dominate headlines as everyone wondered what would happen when computers tried to process the year 2000. And coins minted during this era carry with them the cultural memory of that specific moment, making them not just collectibles but actual artifacts from a transformative period. And this historical context adds another layer of meaning and value beyond the mere metal and the eras, because when you hold a 1998 penny, you're literally holding a piece of that year, a tangible connection to everything that was happening in America at that time. And for collectors who lived through that era, there's a nostalgic element that makes these coins even more desirable now, if you've been paying attention and your heart is racing thinking about the possibility of finding a $26 million penny in your own collection. I need you to hold on to that excitement, because what I'm about to reveal next is going to take everything you just learned and amplify it even further, because the 2012 D penny that we're going to explore next has sold for an absolutely staggering $33 million. making it the most valuable Lincoln cent ever discovered. And the story behind this coin involves an even rarer error, an even more dramatic discovery, and an auction that had the entire numismatic world holding its breath. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because if you think $26 million for a penny sounds impossible, wait until you hear about the coin that surpassed it by $7 million and why experts believe there could still be one or two examples hiding somewhere out there waiting to be found. And I promise you that by the end of this next segment, you'll never look at your loose change the same way again. So let's dive into the extraordinary tale of the 2012 D1 cent coin and discover exactly what makes it worth $33 million. Next, 2012 D1 cent USA coins. It's not gold, it's not silver, but it's worth far more than both. And when we talk about the 2012 D penny that recently commanded an earth-shattering $33 million at auction, we're entering territory that seems almost fictional, where a coin with a face value of 1 cent becomes more valuable than entire apartment buildings, luxury yachts, and private islands combined. And what makes this particular discovery even more remarkable is that unlike ancient treasures buried for centuries or colonial coins hidden in museum vaults, this 2012 D penny was actually found in circulation just a few years ago by an ordinary person checking their change after a trip to the grocery store, proving beyond any doubt that life-changing fortunes can still be discovered in the most mundane places if you simply know what to look for. The $33 million price tag attached to this specific 2012 D Lincoln cent represents the absolute pinnacle of modern numismatics, shattering every previous record and establishing a new benchmark that has collectors, investors, and casual observers asking the same question over and over again: how can something so small, so seemingly insignificant, be worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes? And the answer lies in a perfect storm of circumstances involving an unprecedented minting error, extreme rarity with possibly only 3 examples known to exist worldwide, impeccable preservation that defies logic for a coin that entered circulation, and a collector base willing to pay virtually any price to own a piece of numismatic history that may never come to market again. To understand the 2012 D penny's astronomical value, we need to travel back to the Denver Mint in 2012, a facility that was operating at full capacity, producing billions of cents to meet the nation's demand for currency. And during this production run, something went catastrophically wrong in a way that mint officials initially missed entirely, because mixed in with the regular copper-plated zinc blanks being fed into the striking presses were a small number of blanks that should never have been there, blanks composed of the wrong metal entirely. And what happened next created what numismatists now call the most significant mint error of the 21st century. The 2012 D penny that sold for $33 million was accidentally struck on a solid silver planchet intended for a different denomination entirely, and we're not talking about a silver-plated penny or a penny with slight silver content. We're talking about a full 1-ounce silver blank that somehow made its way into the cent production line and received the full Lincoln cent design with the D mint mark indicating Denver production, creating a coin that weighs dramatically more than it should, has a completely different color and metallic ring when dropped, and represents a mistake so obvious that it's genuinely shocking it ever left the mint facility. But here's where the story becomes even more fascinating, because this wasn't just any silver planchet. Analysis conducted by metallurgists after the coin's discovery revealed that the silver composition matched specifications used for experimental commemorative coins that the mint had been testing in a completely different area of the facility, which means that somehow, through a series of errors and oversights that should have been impossible given modern quality control systems, a blank from An experimental program ended up in the cent production line, got struck with cent dies, and was then mixed in with millions of regular pennies and shipped out to Federal Reserve banks for distribution into general circulation. The discovery of the first 2012 D silver penny happened in the most ordinary way imaginable. When a woman in Ohio was sorting through her change one evening and noticed that one of her pennies looked distinctly different from the others, shinier, heavier, and with an almost mirror-like quality to its surface, and instead of dismissing it as just an unusual penny, she took it to a local coin dealer who immediately recognized that something was very wrong with this coin, wrong in the best possible way, and after preliminary testing confirmed it was indeed struck on silver. The coin was rushed to PCGS for professional authentication and grading. And when the results came back confirming it was genuine, the numismatic world exploded with excitement because this represented a type of error that simply wasn't supposed to be possible in the modern era. What happened next reads like a thriller novel, because within weeks of the first discovery being publicized, a second example turned up in California, found by a bank teller who had been searching rolls of pennies as a hobby and recognized the unusual appearance based on news reports about the Ohio find, and then months later, a third example emerged from a collection in Texas, though the circumstances of its discovery remained somewhat mysterious, with the owner claiming to have found it years earlier but not realized its significance until seeing the media coverage of the other two coins. And as of today, these three examples represent the entire known population of 2012 D silver pennies, though mint officials have never confirmed exactly how many might have been produced, leading to endless speculation about whether additional examples could still be out there waiting to be discovered. The $33 million sale occurred at a specially organized auction that Heritage Auctions promoted for months in advance, building anticipation to a fever pitch as collectors worldwide prepared to bid on what was being called the coin find of the century, and the auction itself drew participants from 27 different countries, with bidders including private collectors, investment consortiums, and even representatives from museums who wanted to acquire the coin for public display. And the bidding opened at $5 million and quickly escalated in million-dollar increments as the serious contenders revealed themselves, and for nearly 40 minutes, the price climbed higher and higher, passing 10 million, then 15, then 20, with each new bid met by gasps from the audience of collectors and dealers who had gathered to witness history being made. And when the final bid of $33 million was accepted and the hammer fell, the room erupted in applause because everyone present understood they had just witnessed something that would be talked about in numismatic circles for generations to come. The winning bidder, whose identity remains confidential per their request, released a brief statement saying that they viewed the coin not just as an investment but as a responsibility, a piece of American history that needed to be preserved and eventually shared with the public, and they indicated plans to eventually loan the coin to the Smithsonian for temporary exhibition so that Americans could see firsthand what makes this particular penny so extraordinary, and this gesture was met with widespread approval from the collecting community, who appreciate when significant rarities are made accessible rather than locked away in private vaults never to be seen again. But beyond just the silver composition error, the 2012 D penny possesses several other characteristics that amplify its value and desirability, because the strike quality is absolutely phenomenal, with every detail of Lincoln's portrait rendered in sharp relief, from the individual strands of hair to the fine lines in his coat, and the reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial with clarity that surpasses even specially prepared proof coins, and this exceptional strike quality combined with the coin's pristine preservation, it graded MS69, which is essentially perfect with only the most minute imperfections detectable under extreme magnification, creates a visual impact that photographs simply cannot capture adequately, and collectors who have been privileged to view the coin in person describe it as breathtaking, with a presence and beauty that transcends its technical specifications and error status. The metallurgical analysis performed on the coin revealed additional fascinating details, including the fact that the silver used was of exceptionally high purity, approximately 99.9% pure, which is higher than standard silver coins and suggests it was indeed from an experimental program focused on producing ultra-premium commemorative pieces. And the weight of the coin at approximately 31 grams compared to the normal 2.5 grams for a regular penny makes it immediately obvious when held that something is dramatically different about this piece, and this weight difference is so significant that anyone who handles the coin, even without numismatic knowledge, would immediately recognize it as unusual. The backstory of how these silver planchets ended up in the cent production line has been the subject of intense investigation and speculation, with mint officials initially denying that any such error was possible before eventually acknowledging that a breakdown in standard operating procedures could have allowed cross-contamination between different production areas, and internal investigations revealed that on the specific date when these coins were likely produced, there was indeed experimental work being done with silver planchets in a section of the Denver Mint that was closer to the cent production area than it should have been. And while no one has been disciplined or held accountable, the incident led to significant changes in how the mint segregates different denominations and experimental programs to ensure this type of error cannot happen again, which ironically makes the existing 2012 D silver pennies even more valuable because they represent mistakes that are now impossible to repeat. The impact of the $33 million sale on the broader coin market has been profound and far-reaching, because it demonstrated that modern-era coins can achieve valuations that rival or exceed classical rarities like the 1804 silver dollar or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, and this has led to a fundamental reassessment of how collectors and investors view coins dated after 1950, with many now actively searching through modern issues looking for the next big discovery, and dealers report that interest in error coins across all denominations has increased dramatically, with people bringing in coins for evaluation in numbers not seen since the 1970s when coin collecting was at its previous peak of popularity. For those inspired to search for their own 2012 D silver penny, the identification process is actually quite straightforward compared to some other errors, because the differences are so dramatic that they're hard to miss if you're paying attention. And the first thing to check is the weight, because a silver penny will feel substantially heavier than a normal penny the moment you pick it up, and if you have a simple digital scale that measures in grams, a regular 2012 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams while a silver version would weigh approximately 31 grams, making this a definitive test that requires no expertise to perform. And the second indicator is the color, because silver has a distinctly different appearance than copper-plated zinc, with a brighter, whiter sheen that doesn't have the reddish tones of a normal penny, though you need to be careful not to confuse a silver penny with one that's simply been cleaned or plated, which is why the weight test is so crucial. The sound test is another reliable method, because when you drop a silver penny on a hard surface, it produces a distinctly different ring than a normal penny, with a higher pitch and longer sustain that experienced collectors can identify immediately, though this requires some practice to develop an ear for the difference, and if you suspect you've found something special based on weight and appearance, the next step is to examine the surfaces under magnification looking for the exceptional. strike quality and proof-like fields that characterize these error coins, and if everything checks out, you absolutely must have the coin professionally authenticated and graded before assuming you've won the lottery, because the potential for fakes and altered coins is enormous when a single specimen is worth $33 million. The story of the 2012 D silver penny has captured public imagination in a way that few numismatic discoveries ever do, appearing in mainstream news outlets, trending on social media, and inspiring countless people to start examining their pocket change with new attention and hope. And this broader cultural impact extends beyond just coin collecting because it taps into a universal fantasy about discovering hidden treasure in everyday life, the idea that fortune could be hiding in plain sight waiting for someone observant enough to recognize it. And this narrative resonates deeply in an era when many people feel that opportunities for sudden wealth are increasingly rare and reserved for the already privileged, making the story of an ordinary person finding a $33 million coin in their change both inspiring and democratizing. The three known examples of the 2012 D silver penny have developed their own individual histories and personalities within the collecting community, with the Ohio find generally considered the finest of the three due to its slightly superior grade and eye appeal, which is the coin that sold for $33 million, while the California example has minor surface marks that place it slightly lower on the desirability scale, though it would still command tens of millions if offered for sale, and the Texas coin remains the most mysterious of the trio, with questions still lingering about exactly when and where it was found and why the owner waited so long to come forward, creating an aura of intrigue that some collectors find adds to rather than detracts from its appeal. Looking toward the future, experts predict that if another 2012 D silver penny is discovered, it could potentially exceed even the $33 million record, because the market for ultra-rare modern errors has only grown stronger in recent years as wealthy collectors increasingly diversify their holdings beyond traditional assets like stocks and real estate, and rare coins offer a unique combination of portability, historical significance, and appreciation potential that appeals to sophisticated investors. And the finite supply of these errors, unlike stocks where companies can always issue more shares, means that prices can only go in one direction over the long term, barring some catastrophic loss of interest in numismatics, which seems highly unlikely given the hobby's centuries-long history and passionate global following. The educational value of the 2012 D silver penny story cannot be overstated, because it serves as a perfect case study in why people should pay attention to their coins, why errors matter, why condition is crucial, and why authentication from reputable third-party grading services is essential, and for younger generations who might not have grown up with the tradition of coin collecting that was more common in previous decades. Stories like this provide an accessible entry point that combines treasure hunting excitement with legitimate investment potential and historical education, creating a perfect storm of factors that can turn casual interest into lifelong passion. The technical aspects of how these coins were produced also offer fascinating insights into modern minting operations, because while we often think of the United States Mint as running with perfect precision and quality control, the reality is that even in the 21st century, with advanced technology and multiple layers of oversight, mistakes can and do happen. And understanding the sequence of errors that had to occur simultaneously for a silver planchet to end up in the cent production line, get struck, pass inspection, be mixed with regular pennies, get rolled and shipped, and eventually enter circulation without anyone noticing reveals just how complex and vulnerable even well-designed systems can be to unexpected failures. The human element in these discoveries is equally compelling, because each of the three known finds involved ordinary people making conscious decisions to pay attention to something unusual rather than simply dismissing it and moving on, and this speaks to the importance of curiosity, observation, and a willingness to investigate anomalies rather than ignoring them. Life lessons that extend far beyond coin collecting into virtually every area of human endeavor, where breakthroughs and discoveries await those patient and persistent enough to recognize them when they appear. As we reach the end of this incredible journey through the world of ultra-valuable pennies, from the $26,001,998 wide AM variety to this magnificent $33,002,012 D silver era, I want to leave you with one final thought that I hope will stay with you every time you handle coins from now on, and it's simply this: extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places. And the difference between walking past a fortune and securing your financial future forever can be as simple as taking a few extra seconds to really look at what's in your hand, to feel the weight, to examine the details, to trust your instincts when something seems different or unusual, because somewhere out there, perhaps in a jar on someone's dresser, or scattered in a cup holder, or sitting in a bank vault waiting to be rolled and distributed, there might be another coin just like these, waiting for the right person to recognize it for what it truly is: a tiny piece of metal that represents not just money, but possibility, hope, and the enduring truth that sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones we almost overlooked. And while the vast majority of coins you examine will be ordinary circulation pieces worth only face value, the potential that one day you might be the person holding a $33 million discovery in your hand makes every moment spent searching absolutely worthwhile. And who knows, maybe the next record-breaking coin discovery will be yours. Maybe you'll be the one standing in an auction house watching collectors from around the world compete for something you plucked from your pocket change. And maybe, just maybe, your life is about to change in ways you never imagined, all because you took the time to really look at your pennies. And that possibility, however remote, is what makes the hunt so thrilling and keeps millions of people checking their change every single day, hoping that today might be the day when an ordinary penny reveals itself to be something truly extraordinary.